So what do you get when you cross one of the most legendary comics of all time with a beloved New Yorker cartoonist, a brand new book of cartoons in collaboration called A Wealth of Pigeons? Please welcome two magnificent men, Steve Martin and Harry Bliss. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi
Good
there.
morning,
Great to be
David.
on the show.
Hi.
So I have to ask you, Steve, you've really done everything from stand-up to movies to writing 4 million books, and yet you call cartooning comedy's last frontier. I think that's a magnificent way to put it, but what do you mean by that?
Well, one thing I always admired cartoonists, but I think, how did they do this? You know, when you're writing a joke for a stage show or with Marty Short, you have the audience, you have the response, you can edit it, you can tweak it. But here, it all happens in a split second when you look at it and you read it, or sometimes you don't even have to read it. And it always was a mystery to me. And then I tried my hand, just a few with some friends. I actually did a book with Roz Chaffs, but and I talking to an editor at the New Yorker, I said, is there someone I could team up with? And when she said Harry Bliss, I thought, that's fantastic, because he's one of my favorite drawers. The clarity of the cartoons, the humor, the animals, it was just right up my alley. Am I moving my hands too much? All right, I think I am.
We understood. Go ahead, Joy.
It's how I keep my Zoom
What are you,
on.
Italian? Are you Italian, Steve? Okay, so you and Harry were connected basically by an editor at the New Yorker, right? Who suggested that you might work well together. But as we can see in some of the drawings in the book, you had to get over some preconceived notions of each other. What were those? Tell us about that. How did you end up working together?
Preconceived notions? Well, I had to get over the fact that I loved Steve Martin and I grew up with his humor. And in working with him, what I had to do was sort of put that love and that, part of it away and just look at the material, look at the jokes, look at the cartoons that he sent me. So that was tricky because each time, he would send me a cartoon. I would, I would listen to it or read it, I should say, in Steve's voice, and that then would make me laugh. So I had to change that part of it. Am I slow?
I love Steve. Steve, I love that he says he grew up with you. Oh boy. So listen.
Well, in a way,
he was
I grew
just
up
a
with
little
him
toddler.
because I just grew up last year.
Didn't we all? But, tell me about this, because I'm interested in where ideas, how those things happen, because I do that myself. You say that some of your best ideas come in the middle of the night. Do you wake up and write things down like Steve Allen used to do?
Yes, and it was a struggle at first because I'm married. And, it's very hard to write something on a piece of paper and find a pen in the middle of the night and write it down without waking my wife. And so I experimented with different things. I bought a child's slate that works on a battery that you can write, without seeing it. And then, of course, I'd accidentally hit delete. It would just be gone by morning. And I tried pieces of paper, which rattle. And finally, I settled on I lower my phone below the bed so the light doesn't come up, and then I type it. I wish I could speak it into the phone. That would really drive her nuts.
Well, I wanted to ask about each of your favorite cartoons in the book. Steve, which one did you choose and why?
Oh, I really like, the one with it's a circus, and there's some trained poodles, and they're performing all in perfect unison. And then there's this one sort of bulldog chewing on a tennis ball with drool coming out of his face, and the caption is, "Isn't my nephew great?"
It's how we all feel when we watch the kids.
And the drawing is so beautiful. I love the drawing.
And Harry, what about you?
Well, there are actually quite a few in here that I like a lot, but I guess the baby one, the baby first being born in a hospital room. Yeah, because when I got that, Steve sent that to me, and I read it, I burst out laughing, and this was like 6 a.m. when I got up. But and of course, it's it's your best birthday ever. You're being born.
I'll tell you where that came from. I don't know if they showed it. Did you show the cartoon?
Yes.
Okay, then I don't really have to explain it. But I remember when I was like 10 or 12, there were these logic questions that I was given. And one was, how far can a bear run into the woods? And the answer is halfway, because then it's running out of the woods. And this was one of them. That was, how many birthdays does the average person have? And the answer was 1, because the rest of them are celebrations of the birthday. And that's where that cartoon came from.
I like
Just
that.
a little infant saying, this is my best birthday ever.
I see.
Too much information?
No, I like it.
No, really
You know,
good.
Steve,
Go ahead, Joy.
you are, I would say, a modern Renaissance man. You're a musician. You're an actor. You're
I
an
don't
artist.
draw.
You have this
If I
thing
were a
going
Renaissance
on.
man, I could draw. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, all right. So don't be picky. You do everything else. All
Okay.
right. But for some reason, you stay away from politics. Why is that?
You know, I've discussed this with Marty Short. You know, when we do our live show, and we have a great time doing it. But if we bring politics into it, if you mention Nancy Pelosi, for example, or anybody, you get a yay and you get a boo. And now suddenly you don't have an audience anymore. You've got these disparate people kind of at war with each other. And that's not the point of, I want people to look at me and not identify me with the political position, but just be able to enjoy the humor, because there's plenty of other people they can look at and identify with the political position.
That's fair. So,
I hope it's
to both
fair.
of you, there's apparently, this is for both of you, there's apparently a bunch of pandemic content in the works, in movies, TV, and shows, and books about life during COVID, even though we're still living through it. So the question is, how soon is too soon to, not that it's inappropriate, but is it interesting to write about the virus right now? Or should we wait a few years and then see movies, plays, etc., with some perspective? Either one of you can answer, if you want to.
Well, it just seems like whether we think it's an important or ethical or not, it's going to happen. So, if there's a way to make money off the pandemic,
would you like
they're
to
going to do
read
it.
something about? Oh, okay.
Well, we read
But I'm
about it
asking,
every
would you
day.
like to watch something like that now, Steve?
No.
I wouldn't yet.
Right.
The problem with the pandemic is it's extremely tragic for many people. And yet there is this sort of, humorous element of everybody going around with masks. It's really complicated. You have to judge it on its own basis. Like Harry sent me a cartoon, and it's not in the book, it's a new one. And there's a couple inside the box, and there's a little slit inside of the box, and the guy is looking out. Sort of a metaphysical way of looking outside a cartoon. And the caption we came up with is, I think I see a vaccine. Which is kind of a poignant. It's not especially funny, but it's kind of poignant.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So you have to judge it on an
Lovely.
individual basis.
So